we are in the another subset, another module of the research findings of the We the Leaders research finding. So Ashok, I wanted to ask a little bit about one of the core findings that has come up in the research. Many leaders spoke about the satisfaction that they experience by the impacts and the changes that they have made in their communities, in the communities that they work with. They've talked about the sense of pride, the sense of feeling fulfilled by the impacts and changes and transformations that they've experienced in the microsystems that they work with. At the same time, many leaders also spoke about how the larger context and no shifts and hardly any transformations in the larger context, how it has triggered despair, disillusionment, helplessness, sometimes even doubts about, is this really going somewhere? What am I doing? Why am I here? Is my work contributing to real change? So there seems to be a micro and a macro split, like a influence in the micro, a definite impact in the micro, whereas helplessness and angst with no changes, no shifts, or very minimal shifts or transformations in the macro. And leaders have come up, some have said it clearly, some have hinted at it, and some we have picked up. They've said that, they've been feeling this, that how can I increase my circle of influence? How can I increase the influence of my work for larger impact in the macro systems? So would you like to share a few things about how do you read this? What sense do you make of this micro-macro split? And how do leaders co-hold this or are having difficulties in co-holding this? If you could share a little bit on that.
I think this process that you're talking about, Uma, is a very significant process, and I really don't know what the answer to this is. Because I think there are two specific things that one can say. One is that whenever shifts at macro level also has a strong political dimension to it. You can't change the macro without getting into addressing the political side of it. Now, when you are a social activist, you can't get into party politics or the various, though you may have a very strong social political ideology, but that ideology has to be at the background. So you can't directly participate. And if you can't participate in the political process, the chances of being able to impact the macro are that much, you have to get into the political process to impact the macro. So that's a difficulty which is very, very inherent. But that's, I think, only one part of the story. I think the other part of the story lies in what I call the motive of eradication. This is whenever one is dealing with eradication, you will invariably find that you eradicate something and something else comes up. It reminds me of that old story of a demon. So whenever this demon was killed and its blood spilled, so when it fell on the earth, 100 new demons came up. That's a problem which is inherent in the very motive of eradication. And I think many of them, we talked about last time, warriors against social ills, etc. So there is a pull towards the eradication motive. And in that, and I saw many of them in fact, were very also conscious of it.
Yeah.
I remember one of the leaders that you interviewed, I think she said that, look, when we started as a group, our entire emphasis was how to stop migration. And then we realized that this is perhaps an exercise in futility, and may also even be counterproductive. So they shifted their focus from stopping migration to safe migration. Now here you are talking of not just eradication. You're talking of something else. You're talking of building something, etc. So I think whenever there is, the emphasis is largely on eradication. Some of the split between micro and macro
True.
will happen.
And it's very interesting because many mission statements of social impact organizations are actually, they have the word elimination, eradication. And so it really matches with what you're saying. I resonate with that.
And I'm not saying eradication is not needed. See, that's really the tussle, because there are many things which you have to fight against and eradicate. But when you
Ashok, in the data and in the interviews, I found that this gap, the satisfaction with the work that I have done in a micro setting, the lives that I have touched, people and individuals who I have seen evolve, being on one hand of saying, okay, this is what I have achieved in my life, vis-a-vis that the larger forces have much greater power. That's and right. Therefore, working with the government, working with bureaucracy, with the police, etc., one holds in a certain degree of pragmatism / resignation. That the pragmatism is that this is what I can expect. That, say, for example, the bureaucracy will never, ever be as empathetic to the cause or to the issue or to the community. That how I am. So I can only negotiate in small pieces.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Or significant. I mean, all the organizations that we've covered all have some kind of advocacy, some kind of engagement with not the political system. I mean, yes, a political system, not mainstream politics, but the bureaucracy with even political leaders at some level. And it's a tightrope walking. But what do you think are the possible implications when one is dealing with this polarizing feeling that I feel satisfied on the one hand, but on the other hand, the micro pulls me down? How do people then cope? And I'm generalizing this not only to the leaders, because we have not really delved as deeply into it. But what would you say?
I think there are many things over here, and it's a very complex issue, because there are other kinds of things that we need to at some stage look at in terms of processes of collaboration across these various people and these various bodies. Because the macro level shift also requires a certain concerted collaborative efforts. And I think there are some very significant real difficulties which need to be addressed when one looks at. The other is that, there is, because of it, we talked about this defining oneself in ideological terms, there is a certain purity which comes with it, a certain purity. So there is a thing of compromise whenever you are looking at, and there is a difficulty, and one unconsciously, in a manner of speaking, operates from the paradigm of victim perpetrator. So the perpetrator cannot be humanized. I remember someone who was working in, this for Dalit communities, and I think one of you asked this person, do you also consider working with the upper caste people? And the person said, "Look, that's not my business. I mean, they are perpetrators. Someone should work with them. That's all right." But that the perpetrator also is a victim of the context becomes very difficult to see when one is operating from this. So there are all kinds of complications over here.
Okay. Thanks, Ashok.
Thank you very much, Ashok, for this
Yeah.
set of the sharing your sensing and reading of the
Thank you for
findings.
giving me the opportunity.
We shall move on with the next video that we will have will be with another finding, with another meaning making of another observation, and hope to see you all soon.